You're listening to Capsule on liveandlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chin, and this is an adventure into music, film, and pop culture.
Imitations of
Chester Bennington is a singer and songwriter from Phoenix, Arizona. He is well known as the lead vocalist of Linkin Park. They are one of the most decorated bands in the world, with Grammy, Billboard, and American Music Awards, and so many other titles under their belt. On Facebook, they have over 66 million fans and counting. Their sixth studio album, The Hunting Party, reached number 1 in the iTunes Store in 67 countries around the world. I am so thrilled to have Chester on the show today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sean.
Your latest album is called The Hunting Party, and I think that the album is a different approach than the ones that you took for your last few records. It's a little less electronic and a little more rock. How does this play into your already large catalog of songs for your live shows?
We feel really good about it. I think it's critically, it's one of the most acclaimed records that we've had out. I think that we made this record specifically to have fun playing it live. As a matter of fact, we did have conversations with our manager and our label about releasing such a heavy record and how that would affect our standings in terms of where the record would come out, how many albums it would sell, and how many times it would get spun on the radio, and whether or not that would affect our whole thing. And everyone said, yeah, you're pretty much not going to get played on the radio, and you probably won't be number one. And we're like, okay, well, it's cool, and we like this record anyways, and we're gonna do it because it's gonna be fun to play live, and the songs are awesome, and I think our fans want to hear us kind of kick ass right now. So, there's not really a lot of bands making a lot of really heavy records right now. It's a pretty hot pop heavy world, and I'm a firm believer in a balanced diet.
What was the takeaway lesson for you and the band after releasing its first self-produced album? And do you plan on doing it again in the future?
When we were writing the first demos for this record, I remember sitting in Mike's studio, and all the songs were pretty pop heavy. We had just done the Steve Aoki stuff, and we were all kind of leaning towards making more pop heavy stuff, and because it's fun, and we're really good at that. And at some point, I remember Mike it was 5 songs deep. We were getting we were making headway on a lot of tracks, and they were really good. And Mike kind of looked at me and he was like, dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to make these songs. I kind of hate these songs. I was like, all right. My approach creatively with anything anymore is I'm not married to anything. I don't really care. If we can try to make something better, let's do it. And so, or if all of a sudden you say you hate something and we've been working on it for a year, then you hate it. Let's do something new. So I was like, all right, well, cool. What are we going to do? And he's like, I want to do something like this. And he plays Guilty All the Same. What turned into Guilty All the Same. And I was the 14-year-old punk rock, hip hop kid in me went bonkers. And I was like, I want to do this all day, every day. And so that's what we did. And, it was literally the direction of the album changed at that point. And went from being a really pop heavy record to, being arguably, just a straight hard rock, heavy metal record.
So I've been listening to you guys since high school, and I know that you've collaborated with many, many talented people over the course of your career. And for the Hunting Party, you had Paige Hamilton and other guys that are on the album. So how do you decide and how do you pick who you want on the album?
Well, I mean, it was pretty organic. It was kind of trippy how it happened, actually. This is from my perspective. This is how I remember it. So you could ask Mike, and I'm pretty sure his perspective is going to be different. But this is how it went down in my world. I was in the studio, and Mike, we were talking about "Guilty All the Same," and the section where Rakim is rapping, and I was like, "Dude, Mike, you need to rap here. Like, have you got any ideas?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've been doing it." And he's like, "I know there's rapping is supposed to be here." He's like, "I just don't know if it's supposed to be me." He's like, "I'm just not kind of feeling like it's me." He's like, I keep hearing, like, the voice I keep hearing is like Rakim." And our tech, one of our engineers, Ethan, goes, "Yeah, dude, I know somebody in like Rakim's camp. You want me to reach out and see if like he'd be interested in like, maybe listening to the track and like doing something?" And we were just kind of like, it was pretty random. I mean, that's about as random as, I'm pretty sure getting struck by lightning is probably more likely than that happening. You know what I mean? Like, who do you know that's in like Rakim? Like, who do you knows somebody in Rakim's camp? Nobody. And so, and this is news to us. Like, it wasn't like this is something that we knew about him. So, and we've been working with him for years. So, and then like a month later, there's Rakim in our studio. And it was crazy. I think with the track that Paige came in on, we had been working on that track for a while, and the song came together really well in terms of the verses and and the rest of the song. We were struggling with the chorus, and finally Mike came in with this chorus, and he was singing it, and the demo version of his vocal, I was like, "Dude," I go, "this chorus is badass." I go, "But is that you?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, it is trippy how much you sound like the guy from Helmet." And he's like, "Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing." And he's like, "Is that a bad thing?" And I said, "Well, no, like, it's not a bad thing. It's kind of a great thing, but at the same time, it does sound like Helmet." And so I think at that point, Mike somehow knew somebody who knew Paige, or he bumped into Paige at some point recently. You have to talk to Mike. Somehow there was a connection there, and Mike reached out to Paige, and basically the thought was, if it sounds like Helmet, we should probably go straight to the source. If that's the inspiration clearly came from that, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, and so Paige, came down and decided that he thought it would be cool to work with us, and threw down a great vocal and added some great guitars and some great input on the track, and the song kind of asked for it, and the same kind of thing with Darren. I mean, it was like, who we kind of hit a point where we were looking for some inspiration. And we were talking about, people and bands that inspired us, and guys who were great and would be fun to work with. And I think Darren's name came up, and we just reached out randomly and thought it would be fun to see what it would be like to hang out with him for a day or two in the studio and see what came out of it. And he came in with Rebellion and hit a home run with that fucking thing, So it was all very organic and very kind of spontaneous,
The news broke out a few months ago that you guys were going to depart from your management company and start managing yourselves. And it seems like a sort of mark of success for some bands when they can cut out the middleman and achieve that type of independence. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that decision.
Well, I think it's important for everyone to be clear that all managers are employees of the bands, and I think that sometimes needs to be made clear. Not in our case, though. We actually, have a lot of respect for Michael Green and the company, the collective, and but I think for us, we're at a point where I think in terms of Linkin Park, especially, we're kind of a special situation. I mean, we've always really managed ourselves. That was one of the reasons why we made the change in the first place from working with Rob McDermott to working with the collective, was that we wanted to do less of that. We wanted somebody else to do that for us. But we found that we work best when we're doing it ourselves, and we feel like we are at a place where we basically do know what we need, and we can function at a place financially in a way that can support a team of people that can do what we need to do under the supervision of the band and some key heads of different facets of our business. I mean, this is like, it's weird to talk like this because I'm a dude from Phoenix who likes to play music for a living. Like, this is like what I did when I ditched school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still, when I do this, I feel like when I talk to my kids about their plans in life, I say, do not look to your dad and think I'm going to do what he did, because please don't do that. Like, I basically have won the lottery. And this is, this is like, to the fact that I am in a band that, functions at a corporate level because of the massiveness of it is strange to me. I mean, dude, I'm sitting in a treehouse looking at the ocean, staring back at fucking Los Angeles. I mean, this is like, this is not the real world I live in. So every day is a blessing, you know what I mean? And the fact that we are actually able to, be able to function in a way that we can really run our business the way we want to, and like you said, cut out a lot of the middlemen, so that we can grow our business the way we want to, and so that we can, achieve the kind of success that we want to, I think is and also show bands that you can take your career into your own hands, which is basically what we do anyways. I mean, we are the ones who are creating the art that people are buying, and we are in an industry that thankfully is collapsing, because it's an industry that's full of criminals and people who do backwards business. And it's a great time for bands to take over the business of the music industry. And it's a great time for intelligent businessmen who have souls to come in and do business with us. So this is a great time for bands to kind of, take back the power that they have, and work with people who, are good people and honest people who want to make music and art and bring together people for good reasons, and not just for the sole sake of making money, and sucking that off the artist as long as possible. We make music and we bring people together, and it's about the music and what happens when you're playing the shows and the experience, the exchange you have with the fans. That's what bands do this for, and so the fact that we can do this on a level where we can actually really take control of our business is pretty awesome. Yeah.
So like going back in time a bit, in 2001, you performed around 300 shows in a year, so 365 days. What was it like being on the road for so long? And now that you're a significantly more successful band now, do you ever think you'll be able to do a tour like that for that long again? Or do you not feel like you have to prove yourself anymore?
It's kind of funny, but I look back at the guy that was touring at 23 in the prime of my life with no injuries, and and I could drink and smoke and stay up all night and sing, and I would complain. It was like I was doing like 20 minutes a night, maybe a half an hour max. I don't even think we had 30 minutes of music to play. And I remember doing 5 shows a week or whatever for the entire year, basically. It was like 5, sometimes 6 shows in a week for the entire year. It's pretty much what we did. And it was like, I remember being like, dude, when we bumped up to 45 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man. Like, we got to an hour, I was like, dude, I don't know how these guys do it for 2 hours every night, dude. I can barely make 45, and then we got to do an hour. Like, this is insane. Like, I don't know how I'm going to sing. And now it's funny because literally in one night, I'm doing more singing than I did in the entire week during that first year. So, it seemed like all that travel kind of sucked, and you're not making any money. It kind of sucks, and but it was super fun. I mean, and it was like, it was worth it, man. Like every show we did was like the most important thing in my life, and every night, every person that we played for had never heard of us before, and it was like my personal mission was to convert everybody there into a Linkin Park fan, and also every band that played after us, I wanted them to go, fuck. Like, we can't, I don't want to get on. Like, I don't want to go on after these guys. And that was our goal. Like, our goal was to conquer everywhere we went and do it with our music. And I remember even the most aggressive person that we met had been, pretty actively taunting us during our show. And after the show, I confronted the person outside and was like, why were you doing that to us? Like, why can't you just not like our music? And that's fine. Like, why do you have to dislike us so much that you distract from everybody else's ability to even pay attention to what we're doing or have a chance to even make their own opinions? Like, why are you forcing your opinion upon everyone else in the room? And by the time I was done with him, he signed up for the Linkin Park fan club and became a street team member. And like, it was just a fun time. Like, we were out to take over the world. And I guess in a lot of ways we've achieved that goal, but like, we still, to a certain degree, but like, we still like go out every night and think like, we have to earn it. We have to earn our place to be where we're at. It doesn't just, once you're here, it doesn't just stay here. And once you've had success, it doesn't just continue to come your way. Like, you have to continue making records like it's your first album, and playing shows like every show matters, and every fan you meet needs to be the most incredible experience of their life. And you have to be willing to be in the frame of mind of doing that every day, and that's something that's a blessing, and it's a pleasure, and it's a privilege for me to be able to do that.
In an MTV Ride interview, you mentioned that in the band's early days, producers and critics wanted to inject their opinions into the band, which actually brought you closer together. And since 2005, you started the Music for Relief organization, which is recognized by the UN. After going through so much hardship to create something positive, what values do you want to be remembered for?
Oh boy. Well, unfortunately, some really cool things are inspired by really horrible things. Music for Relief actually sprung into existence as a result of the earthquakes that triggered the tsunamis in the Indian Ocean in 2004, I believe that was. And we had actually just toured in Southeast Asia, within a few days of returning home, the earthquakes hit and the tsunamis, destroyed the coastlines of tens of thousands of miles, and hundreds of thousands of people died, and it was a horrible, horrible tragedy. And we felt like we needed to do something and give back. Hold on really quick. Sorry, when the kids come up and want to hug you, you got to stop and give kids a hug. So anyways, we decided we wanted to do something and give back to, the communities of the places we've just been. And we felt the connection. And so we basically put a bunch of our money together and started an organization. We called it Music for Relief. Within 24 hours we basically got on the phone. Once we got on it was like 2:00 in the morning or something like that. We all decided to do something. We got on the phone the next day together as a group with our partners in business, and we formed Music for Relief, and we responded. And crazy enough, we were the first relief organization in the world that responded. And we responded before even the governments of the places that had been affected, which kind of was really strange to us because we didn't exist. So how could we not exist and then exist because we decided to and be the first people to respond? It just seemed like this was a flawed system. So we wanted to continue providing relief for natural disasters around the world as a result. And we wanted to create a place where the people that donated knew 100% of the money was going towards the cause that they specifically donated to. It wasn't just going into a giant fund and being decided by a board member or board members that decide which disasters deserve how much money and which ones don't. So we decided to do that. We also wanted to encourage the rest of the music community, from bands to executives to producers to the fans, to get involved and hopefully make it a music community organization, not just a Linkin Park organization. And we've been doing it ever since. And we've helped a lot of people and done some pretty spectacular things. And right now we've been working with the UN on some really important initiatives like Power the World, and we've got some more coming up. So please encourage your readers or listeners to go to musicforrelief.org and check out all the really great ways that they can either donate or their time, money, or just talk about what's happening around the world and do something cool to help somebody out.
So you guys have been active since 1996. In your eyes, how has your fan base evolved in parallel along with your music over the last 18 years?
I have no idea. I mean, honestly, being in Linkin Park is like being in a new band every time we put a record out. It's like, I think with the exception of Hybrid Theory and Meteora, every album, pretty much sounds different. And that's like a really cool thing. It's fun to be able to just kind of walk in and go, I want to make a country song today. And like, everyone's like, cool. It's so freeing to just be like, I want to write an R&B song, or I want to write a pop song, or I want to write a death metal song, or I want to, I want to blow in a jug and make a diddly bow. I mean, we can do whatever we want. It's really fun. And after we, experiment, we always find a way to bring it into the world of what Linkin Park is doing and make it sound like a Linkin Park song. And I think that, that's exciting. It's really fun to be in a process that works that way.
So with that being said, whenever you guys go on tour, do you ever feel pressured to provide fans with what they've come to expect from your live show, or do you strive to go into another direction?
I personally strive to go out and do stuff that people go, I can't do that. Like I want to sing harder. I want to run harder. I want to sweat harder. I want to be the person that's the most exhausted by the time I'm done on stage. That's what I want every night. And that's what my whole life purpose is for. Like I literally spend every waking moment of every day either doing one of two things. I'm either doing things with my kids or I'm preparing for the show. And like that's all I care about. I want to go out and crush the stage every single night. And if I can't do that, then I have failed.
What's it like touring with bands such as Of Mice and Men?
It's interesting because in the same way, touring with Of Mice and Men, it's inspiring to me because here are these guys like you said, they're at the venue 13 hours a day. They're trying to figure out how to wash their clothes, trying to figure out what to do. They're around each other all the time. They also have lots of decisions to make. These guys played like something like fucking 8 shows in a row, and I was like, dude, you're gonna kill yourself. Like, what are you thinking? And like, it's funny because like I think a lot of bands would think, their managers send them a tour schedule and says, here's 8 shows in a row, and you're just like, okay, I guess we're doing 8 shows in a row. It's like, it can kind of seem like you're working for somebody. It's important to know, like, you don't have to do that. You can actually, like, put a limit on that stuff so that you don't blow your voice out. You got to think long term. It's like, and these are the things that, like, I look and I go, wow, these guys actually are like really, they're prepared to play 8 shows in a row. Like, that is badass. I don't care who the fuck you are. Like, that's insane. And especially the shows these guys do. It's not like, you're walking out, whisper singing some folk songs for 30 minutes. So it's like, these guys are putting it out there. And so it's inspiring. It's fun to be around a young band that loves playing music and will do anything, literally anything to do it. And show up every day with a smile on their face, and go out every night and crush it, and come up and play songs with us when they could be, like, not playing music anymore, like resting or whatever else they want to do. It's fun, it's fun to be around guys that are so hungry, because it makes me want it. I want our crowd to love these guys so that they go play arenas. I want these guys to go play arenas, and I want them to play stadiums. I want them to have the same success that we have, because it's fun to watch them play. It's fun to see somebody want it so bad, and I it's inspiring to me, and it makes me go, that's what I do this for. I love seeing bands that make me want to be in a band. It's fun. It's fun to go out on the road with young people that, when I watch them, I go, God, I want to be in a band. And then I go, yes, I'm in one. And it's like, woo! It's like, it gets me pumped up, and that's what's beautiful about music. It's like, I love, my wife and I were laughing today, like my girls were like running through the house, just literally screaming their brains out. And I'm going, yeah, get it out, come on! And everyone in the house, there are people who may not be used to seeing that, So it's just kind of funny, because this is the kind of, like, living this lifestyle where you're around creative people and you're allowed to express yourself, and it's fun to, be creative and be different, and it's a blessing. Like, every moment that we live is a blessing. It's like, it's fun to see that transcend into younger generations. It's fun to see my kids grow up in a home where they can, express themselves, and it's fun to be able to see all these things happening, not only from within our own band, but within other bands that we tour with. And it truly is a blessed life that we live, being musicians.
I love that you guys think so highly of the bands that you pick to tour with. Another band that's performing with you in 2015 is Rise Against. Some of you might say that you and their lead singer Tim McGilrath scream at equal volumes at times. You guys kind of remind me of each other. I know I got introduced to both bands at different points in my life, and so I want to know, how would you describe the first time that you heard Rise Against, and what your thoughts were?
I remember very specifically exactly what I said the first time I heard Rise Against. And this is funny, because they have actually, to my satisfaction, answered the question that I posed the very first time I heard Rise Against. First time I heard Rise Against, it was I believe their very first single that they released ever. I can't remember what it was, but it was an awesome song. And I remember I looked at my wife, because we were both cranking it, and I go, dude, this guy is badass, but I hope he can keep doing this for a long time. He sings so hard and so badass. I was like, man, I don't know how he does that. Like, how does he do that with his voice? Like, that's crazy, you know? And I'm like, I sing hard too. And like, I'm like trying to figure it out. And I'm like, I just hope this guy can do this forever, you know? Like, that'll be the test, you know? And, you know, here we are. They're like on their, seventh album. And, you know, I mean, probably getting better every album with his vocal chops. So, yeah, it's pretty great. That's exactly what I remember thinking the first time I heard Rise Again.
Linkin Park is definitely known for their collaborations, and those are an integral part of the sound. Are there any major collaborations planned that we should be looking out for? Is there anything that you guys can see on the Hunting Party tour that we should let our fans know about?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just know that we had we always encourage other guys to come up and do songs with us. Austin's came up and done Faint with us. Tim did Bleed It Out with us, you know, some Christmas shows a couple of weeks ago. And I know that we are going to open the invitation for those guys to come out whenever they want to and do those songs with us, whenever they would like, every night if they want to, once a week, only on Tuesdays. It doesn't matter to me. We encourage that kind of stuff. And of course, like I know that me and Mike and Dave are going to be bussing it. You know, I'm really good at writing songs about farts and pooping and dancing with no pants, because dance and pants rhyme, and they pretty much fit into pretty much any song you can write. So, you know, there's always room for, you know, lots of writing as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be like winter band camp.
Thank you, Chester, for joining me today. That was an absolute pleasure. You've been a big influence on my life growing up musically, so thank you.
Thank you, guys. No problem. It was great talking with you.
You can follow these guys on Twitter at Linkin Park and on Facebook at Linkin Park. You can find myself on Twitter at Sean Chen. Please subscribe to this show on iTunes. Please give us 5 stars and leave a review if you like it. And as always, you can find the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.